No one in the great hall of the Galactic Council noticed the human ambassador's hands trembling. The chamber was bright, filled with shining beings from 100 worlds, all looking down from their crystal seats. The air shimmered with the scent of ozone and arrogance. Ambassador Reed stood alone in the center, the only human in a hall that could hold thousands. His black suit looked plain next to the robes of gold and plasma that the alien leaders wore. But his eyes, quiet, calculating, didn't blink. The laughter started again. Primitive species, hissed the scaled delegate from Vereen. Barely learned to crawl out of their mud, chuckled the glowing form of a Luthari. They call it a planet, yet half their world is poison. Another voice added, the hall filled with cruel laughter. Even the council chair, a creature older than human civilization, smiled faintly. Reed didn't move. His voice, when it came, was calm. Earth came here in peace. We came to join, not to beg. That only made them laugh harder. You came here because we allowed you, said the chair. Your little ships wander too close to our trade routes. You have no rights in the stars. Reed lifted his gaze slowly. We asked for trade, for friendship. You offered us humiliation. The Vereen delegate leaned forward, its scales gleaming like wet knives. Humanity should stay in its gravity well. The stars are for those who earned them. Reed's lips curved slightly, not quite a smile. You will regret saying that. For a moment, silence fell. The words hung heavy in the chamber, too quiet, too certain. The chair's eyes narrowed. Are you threatening the council, human? Reed stepped forward, and his shadow stretched far across the glowing floor. I'm telling you a truth. You've mistaken silence for weakness. Before anyone could answer, a soft tone came from the silver disc on his wrist. A human voice spoke through it, calm, almost emotionless. Ambassador, they've seen it. Reed glanced up. Good. Begin the transmission. All around the chamber, the hollow screens lit up at once. Every delegate turned to look. They saw Earth. Not as they expected. Not a blue marble, but a planet alive with light. Orbiting it were hundreds of ships, dark, angular, bristling with weapons no council species had ever seen. One by one, energy readings began to spike. What is this? Demanded the chair. Reed's voice was still quiet. You mocked us for being small, for being new. But humans don't stay small. We build, we adapt. We survive! The Luthari delegate flickered in anger. You dare arm yourselves without permission? Permission? Reed repeated. His eyes grew cold. You think we need it? The council's chamber lights dimmed slightly as if something vast and powerful had just entered orbit above their own world. Outside, invisible to most of them, 3 human dreadnoughts slipped out of warp. Black ships the size of cities, carrying silent fury. Inside the hall, a low hum shook the floor. The chair shouted, Deactivate those ships at once! You are violating interstellar law. Reed tilted his head. Interstellar law? The same law that allowed your fleets to destroy colonies on Mars? The same law that burned our explorers on Titan? The Vereen delegate hissed. They trespassed! They died begging for help, Reed said quietly. And you laughed. He turned toward the exit. The council will receive a message from Earth within the hour. You will decide whether to accept peace or face what's coming. The chair's voice thundered through the hall. Human, you are outnumbered. Your fleet cannot stand against the combined might of this council. Reed stopped at the doorway. Maybe not, he said softly. But we don't fight for power. We fight for survival. That makes us dangerous. Then he walked away, leaving the hall in silence. Outside, far beyond the council world, human ships were already in motion. Entire constellations flickered as jump drives ignited. In the command center of the UHS Invictus, Admiral Carter stood over a tactical display showing hundreds of targets across the council's territory. Her face was calm, her voice steady. Orders from the ambassador, she said. Operation Dawnfire is authorized. The officers around her froze. Everyone knew what that meant, she continued, her voice lowering. No transmissions. No warnings. They mocked Earth. Now they learn what that costs. The ships began to move. Back in the Great Hall, chaos spread. The council delegates shouted at one another, demanding explanations. Reports came in. Human fleets appearing in systems thought unreachable. Colonies going dark. Outposts reporting total communication loss. How did they build all this? Screamed the Luthari. They were nothing 20 years ago. The chair stared at the holographic map in disbelief. They were watching us, he whispered. All this time, they were watching. Reed's words echoed in his mind. You've mistaken silence for weakness. As alarms blared across the planet, the Council realized something that would change the galaxy forever. The humans had never been begging for entry. They had been gathering information, preparing, and now they were done being mocked. Far away aboard the Invictus, Admiral Carter watched as the first targets lit up on the tactical display. Council shipyards, weapons platforms, data relays. She gave a single nod. Fire. Beams of light crossed the void, cutting through ancient defenses like paper. No mercy. No hesitation. For centuries, the Council had ruled through fear. But now the fear belonged to them. And humanity, the species they once called primitive, had become something the stars themselves would learn to fear. The Galactic Council was in chaos. Alarms echoed through the marble corridors and holographic flames danced above the war table. Every minute brought more terrifying reports. Human fleets appearing where they shouldn't exist, Council defense lines collapsing without a sound. In the Great Hall, the Council chair stood motionless, watching the holograms of human ships consuming their border worlds. His hands trembled, the golden rings around his wrists flickering as he whispered, How? How did they build this? No one had an answer. The Virine delegate slammed its claws against the table. We must strike now. Send the full fleet to the Sol system. Crush them before they can advance. The Sol system? The Luthari delegate shouted. Their defenses are unknown. They hid their strength from us. You think they left Earth unguarded? The room filled with argument and fear. For the first time in centuries, the Council, proud rulers of 1,000 races, didn't know what to do. Above a dark, cold world called Urion 7, a Council fleet tried to regroup. Hundreds of ships shimmering like silver daggers gathered near the planet's rings. The admiral in charge, a tall insectoid being named Trask, watched his tactical display. Where are they? Trask demanded. Our sensors can't even track them. An officer replied, voice shaking. Human vessels are invisible to standard scans, Admiral. They must be using something new. Impossible, Trask hissed. Their technology was decades behind ours. Then the screen flickered. A small red dot appeared, just one. A single human destroyer had dropped out of warp alone. Trask leaned closer. Just one ship? They mock us. He pointed a claw at the hologram. All ships, open fire! Erase it from existence. Dozens of energy beams lanced through space. But the human ship moved like smoke, shifting and vanishing before every blast. Then a voice came through the comms. Calm, cold, human. This is Commander Hayes of the Earth Defense Fleet. You've entered restricted space. Trask snarled. Restricted? You dare— The human voice cut him off. You were warned. Then the destroyer fired. A single beam of white light ripped through the darkness. Silent, pure, and unstoppable. The Council flagship shattered instantly, torn apart before it could even raise its shields. The explosion blinded every sensor. When the glare faded, half the fleet was gone, the rest tried to flee. But human ships appeared all around them, dark shapes sliding out of invisible corridors in space. The stars themselves seemed to twist. Within minutes, the mighty Urion fleet was gone. Back on the Council world, panic turned to silence. The surviving transmissions showed nothing but brief flashes, ships splitting apart, crews screaming, static. The chair turned toward the others. They destroyed an entire fleet in under 5 minutes. We are facing extinction. The Luthari delegate flickered dimly. We have the power of the core worlds. If we unite— Reed's voice interrupted them. Every screen in the chamber lit up with his image. His face was calm, unreadable, the human flag visible behind him. You don't understand, he said quietly. This isn't revenge. This is justice, the chair shouted. You're murdering millions. Reed's eyes didn't move. You murdered ours first. You called it containment. You burned our colonies on Mars and left our explorers to die in the dark. Did you think we'd forget? He leaned closer to the camera. We gave you chances. You laughed. Now we'll make sure you never laugh again. The transmission ended. No threats, no demands. Just silence. At the edge of the galaxy, on the bridge of the UHS Invictus, Admiral Carter stood in the quiet glow of the war map. Around her, her officers worked like machines. No panic, no mercy. A young lieutenant whispered, Ma'am, Are we really going to destroy the council capital? Carter didn't answer right away. She stared out the viewport, watching the stars drift by. They built their empire on fear, she said finally. We'll build peace on their ashes, she turned to her crew. Begin the approach. The ship engines hummed. Space itself seemed to bend. As the human fleet moved closer to the council's core worlds, millions of sensors across the galaxy tried to follow them, and failed. Human ships vanished from detection, reappearing only when it was too late. No one could understand their technology. It was beyond logic. Some whispered they'd found something ancient in the void, a machine or power the galaxy had forgotten. But the truth was simpler. Humanity had learned, humanity had adapted, and humanity had built something no one else ever dared. Ships designed not for exploration, but for revenge. In the council's inner sanctum, the chair looked up as the chamber lights flickered. A deep rumble echoed through the ground. He turned to the windows and froze. Far above the planet, dozens of shadows blotted out the stars. The human fleet had arrived. Impossible, someone whispered. But it was real. The black ships hung in orbit, silent and still. No transmissions, no signals, no mercy. The chair sank into his seat. What have we done? Outside, a single blue light flickered from the lead ship, the Invictus. It wasn't a weapon. It was a message. A voice echoed across every communication channel in the system. Calm female human. This is Admiral Carter of Earth Defense Command. Surrender your fleets and leadership immediately. This is your only warning. The Council didn't respond. They couldn't. They had mocked humanity, thinking Earth was a joke. Now they were staring into the face of extinction, and realizing that the joke had always been on them. As the fleet prepared to fire, Admiral Carter whispered to herself, "We asked for peace, and they gave us chains." She raised her hand. "Fire control. Prepare for strike." The sky began to burn. The stars above the council capital burned white as the first human attack struck. Entire districts vanished in seconds, leaving nothing but floating debris and clouds of molten metal. Alarms blared across the planet, yet no one knew how to respond. The council's fleets were scattered, crippled, or destroyed. Inside the council's war chamber, panic had replaced arrogance. Delegates screamed over each other, pointing fingers at whoever they could blame. The chair slammed his fist onto the crystal console. "Enough! Gather every available fleet, every ship in the sector. We will crush them." A trembling aide whispered, "Chair, they are faster than anything we can field. They appear where we cannot detect them. Our fleets are falling before we can even fight." The chair's eyes narrowed. "Then we must strike with everything. If Earth is their home, we end this here. We will burn their planet if we must." Far from the council worlds, the Invictus hovered over the outer edge of the Sol system. Admiral Carter studied the screens, her face calm but her mind sharp. "Commander Hayes, status?" she asked. The young officer saluted. "All fleets in position, ma'am. Council forces are mobilizing in multiple sectors. They've realized Earth is the source." Carter nodded. "Good, let them come. We will not fight blindly." She tapped a button, bringing up a 3D hologram of the galaxy. Tiny red dots in human ships moved with silent precision through the black void, avoiding every council patrol. "They can't match us," she whispered, almost to herself. "They never could," her eyes glinted. "Prepare defensive perimeters around Earth. Any council fleet entering our system will meet annihilation." The council, desperate, launched a massive strike force. Hundreds of warships formed a line across the nearest star system. They moved like a tidal wave, a storm of metal and fire. But the humans were already waiting. From unseen coordinates, the fleets disappeared into the void, only to reappear in perfect formation behind the council's lines. In moments, their weapons opened fire. Silent beams that shredded shields, pierced hulls, and vaporized capital ships. The council fleets reeled in horror. Trask, leading the charge, barked, "Target their command ship. Destroy it at once." The human destroyer slid through the battle like smoke. Trask's flagship fired everything it had, yet the human ship danced effortlessly, anticipating every move. A bright white beam struck Trask's flagship, splitting it in half. The council admiral's scream echoed briefly, then silence. Back on Earth, the planet itself seemed to hold its breath. Humanity had poured all its knowledge into this moment, decades of technology, strategy, and relentless preparation. From orbit, Earth's weapons arrays lit up like stars, each one precise, lethal. Civilians watched from below, unaware of the full scale, yet sensing a tension that vibrated through the planet. Humanity had always endured, always adapted. Now they fought not for glory but survival, and for revenge. Carter's voice cut through the Invictus bridge. They will test us, let them. We have waited for this. Every calculation, every ship, every weapon, ready. Engage if necessary. The Council, realizing the human attack was not just a strike, but a full-scale assault, convened a secret council, an emergency meeting of the most powerful warlords and strategists. They are different, one delegate said, faster than our sensors, smarter than our generals, more ruthless than any army we've ever commanded. The chair's face was pale. Do we surrender? No, another voice said sharply. We fight, we must, even if it costs us everything. The decision was made. A hidden weapon long forbidden would be deployed. Ancient, unstable, and feared even among the Council, the Oblivion Array. A whisper ran through the chamber. It can destroy a planet. One strike and everything dies, the chair's eyes flickered. Do it. If humanity wants war, we will show them extinction. Back in space, the human fleet intercepted unusual energy signals. Carter studied the readings, her mind racing. They're preparing something massive, she said. Not a fleet. Not a station. Something older. Commander Hayes frowned.
Should we pull back?
Carter shook her head. No, they've chosen this path. Let them strike. Then we will show them what humanity really is. She pressed a button. All ships maintain formation. Deploy countermeasures. Do not engage until instructed. The galaxy trembled as the first ripple of the Council's forbidden weapon moved through space. Stars flared briefly as the energy wave advanced, a silent, unstoppable force of destruction aimed at Earth. And yet, the humans did not panic. They had anticipated it. From every human ship, tiny craft erupted, forming a lattice of energy disruptors around the planet. The wave hit them, exploded, and scattered harmlessly into space. The Council had underestimated one simple fact. Humanity did not rely on luck. They relied on strategy, adaptability, and unity. Carter's voice resonated through the fleet. Earth is safe. Let's remind them why no one mocks humanity. The human ships moved again, faster than ever, striking at the Council's fleet with precise, deadly efficiency. One by one, the warlords' ships vanished into silence. The galaxy began to whisper the same thought. Humanity is not a threat. Humanity is the reckoning. The chair, watching the destruction from his command chamber, felt a cold fear he had never known. How can they be so perfect? A voice beside him murmured. Perhaps we should have listened when they warned us. Reed's words returned to the chair's mind. You've mistaken silence for weakness. The Council realized too late that humanity had waited for centuries, learning, observing, preparing. Every insult, every humiliation, every mockery had been stored. Every defeat, every loss had been converted into strength, and now, the galaxy would see what happens when silence turns into fury. The galaxy had never heard silence like this. Council worlds trembled. Fleets were shattered, and yet Earth remained untouched. No one could comprehend how. Every sensor the Council deployed failed. Every strategy collapsed. Humanity had become a ghost in the void. Untouchable, unstoppable, unpredictable. Inside the Invictus, Admiral Carter stood before the holographic display. Her calm eyes scanned the positions of her fleet and the remnants of the Council's defenses. Hundreds of ships had fallen. Billions of lives wiped out across multiple systems, and yet the human fleet remained intact, ready for the next move. Commander Hayes leaned forward, frowning. Ma'am, they're rallying. The Council is preparing another strike, stronger, bigger, and something else. Sensors show unusual energy readings near their command worlds. Something ancient, hidden. Carter's face remained unreadable. Then it's time, she tapped the console. From beneath the Invictus, deep within Earth's orbital grid, a hidden network activated. It had been built in secret over decades, massive, unseen, beyond comprehension. The humans called it the Aegis Array. No one outside Earth had ever suspected it. Not the Council, not their spies, not even the so-called wise warlords. The Aegis Array wasn't just a weapon. It was a shield, a weapon, and a network of intelligence all in one. Billions of satellites, each small, almost invisible, formed a web across the planet and the inner orbit. each one connected, sharing information faster than any council mind could process. When the first pulse of the council's new weapon, whatever ancient power they tried to unleash, entered the system, the Aegis array reacted. Energy flares surrounded the planet. The council's wave of destruction shattered before it even reached Earth. Ships caught in the outer perimeter were ripped apart instantly. Carter watched as the readings came in. It's working exactly as planned. They don't know what hit them. Far from Earth, the council worlds experienced chaos unlike anything they had known. Ships that were meant to fire suddenly exploded. Fleets that were moving toward the Sol system vanished as though swallowed by the void. Communication lines failed. Panic spread faster than their weapons ever could. The chair stared at the readings. His golden eyes widened in horror. They've anticipated everything. Every strike. Every move. Every tactic, a voice whispered behind him. But how? How can a primitive species do this? They weren't primitive, the chair muttered. We never saw it. The Council's fleets tried to regroup, but humanity had gone further. From the Invictus, Admiral Carter gave the command. Deploy drones. Target command ships. Disable everything that moves. Small, agile craft erupted from hidden bays, almost invisible, moving faster than anything the Council had. In minutes, entire command networks were offline. Ships drifted, powerless, as the humans struck precisely where it hurt most. On one of the outer planets, the Luthari admiral screamed into his comms. We cannot fight them. Our fleets are gone. Every system is collapsing. What is this weapon? A human destroyer appeared above him, almost silent, cutting through the planet's orbital defenses. The admiral's world erupted in flames as the humans withdrew without even a shot being fired directly from the main fleet. This is not just technology, the Luthari muttered. It's strategy. Perfection. It's like they know everything we think. Back aboard the Invictus, Carter turned to her crew. Humanity has waited for this moment for centuries. Every insult, every mockery, every loss has been recorded. We didn't just build ships. We built intelligence. We built anticipation. We built a shield no one can touch. Commander Hayes frowned. Ma'am, some say the Council has weapons older than stars themselves.
Can we withstand them forever?
Carter's eyes glinted. Not forever, but long enough to show them what it means to mock a human. She paused, her gaze sweeping over Earth far below. The blue planet glimmered peacefully, unaware that millions of lives in the galaxy had already been lost because of the Council's arrogance. Prepare for the next wave, she said. Let them bring their ancient weapons. Let them come with every ounce of power they have. Humanity will endure, humanity will survive, and humanity will win. On the Council worlds, despair spread like fire. Even their most trusted advisors whispered among themselves, fearing the humans were no longer a species but a force of nature. The chair slammed his fist onto the table. If we unleash the Oblivion Array, if we destroy Earth perhaps we can end this. But no one dared answer. No one could. Every report showed that the humans anticipated every move. Every strike was countered, every plan neutralized. And somewhere in the vastness of space, Ambassador Reed's voice returned in the Council's comm networks. Calm, quiet, cutting through the panic. You've made a mistake. You thought silence meant weakness. You thought our fleets were small. You thought our planet was insignificant. You were wrong. Very wrong. The galaxy trembled as the first human-led counterstrike began. Council fleets crumbled under precision attacks. Ancient stations, thought untouchable, were disabled with surgical accuracy. The humans were everywhere, yet no one could trace their movements. The Council finally understood a terrifying truth. Humanity's strength was not just in their weapons, their ships, or their technology. It was in their mind, their strategy, their unity. Their ability to turn insult into action, mockery into preparation. And the galaxy had never seen such power unleashed before. The Council worlds burned. Systems that had stood for millennia were reduced to rubble. Entire fleets vanished, leaving nothing but drifting wrecks. Yet the chair refused to give up. Humanity could not be destroyed by conventional weapons. Their fleets were too fast, too precise, too clever. We underestimated them, the chair admitted for the first time aloud. And now we must use the last option. The core convergence. A murmur ran through the chamber. The core convergence was the galaxy's most dangerous weapon, a device so powerful it could erase an entire planetary system in a single pulse. Even the chair had feared it. "It will destroy Earth and the entire fleet," a trembling advisor said. "There will be no survivors." "Yes," the chair said, voice steady. "There will be no survivors. If humanity wants war, then the galaxy will see the cost." In orbit above Earth, Admiral Carter studied the alerts. Energy readings spiked suddenly from deep in the outer galaxy. Hundreds of Council ships converged on a single point. Their formation was massive, terrifying, something humanity had never faced before. "Commander Hayes," she said, pointing at the readings. "They're gathering everything they have for a single strike. The core convergence. It's real," the young officer's eyes widened. They actually built it?" Carter nodded. "Yes, but that's okay. They think destruction will stop us. They don't understand who we are," she tapped the console. "Prepare the fleet. Activate the Aegis array at full power. If they fire that weapon, they'll need more than power to survive." Deep in the Council capital, the chair watched as the final preparations for the convergence were completed. His mind was calm, almost detached. "This will be the end of them," he whispered. But in his chambers, the Luthari delegate frowned. "Chair, even if we fire, they'll know. They've anticipated every move we've made, every fleet we've deployed, every plan. How can one weapon stop them?" The chair didn't answer. He pressed the activation panel. A bright pulse of energy began to gather, so powerful it bent space itself. A faint ripple stretched across light years, visible even on distant systems. "They won't survive this," he said again. On Earth, the first effects were felt as tremors through the orbital network. The Aegis array detected the pulse, and the humans reacted instantly. Satellites repositioned in microseconds, sending counter-frequencies to disrupt the energy wave. Miniature drones, invisible to sensors, deployed across the path of the incoming pulse, dismantling its structure atom by atom. Carter's eyes didn't leave the display. "Good, keep it stable. Don't let them see weakness." Below on Earth's surface, humans watched strange phenomena in the skies. Lights moved too fast, vanished too suddenly. They didn't understand it, but they knew humanity's fleet was protecting them. Carter leaned back slightly. "This is what we built centuries for. Every insult, every humiliation, every loss. It led to this moment." In the Council capital, panic erupted. Reports came in. The convergence pulse was failing. Ships closest to the activation point were destabilizing. Energy was being drained. Sensors went offline. Command signals collapsed into static. "What is happening?" The chair screamed. "It cannot fail." A trembling aide whispered. "It's being countered. By them, by humans. We cannot touch them." The chair's face turned pale. "Impossible. They cannot have. But it was true. Humanity had not just built weapons. They had built intelligence into every system, every council maneuver, every strategy, every hidden attack, all anticipated, countered, neutralized before it could even act. And now, the core convergence, the galaxy's ultimate weapon, was dissolving into harmless energy, completely neutralized. In orbit above the Council worlds, human ships moved with precision, surgical and deadly. Carter gave the command, "Engage. Target the Council fleets. Disable all planetary defenses. Take control of the command nodes. No mercy." Drones and ships moved faster than the eye could follow. Systems thought untouchable fell one by one. Council warlords tried to flee, but the humans were everywhere, appearing from nowhere, striking with lethal efficiency. From the Invictus, Carter watched it unfold. They believed power alone could stop us. They were wrong. Humanity survives because we do not fear. We adapt, we learn, we endure, and we strike when the time is right. The galaxy itself seemed to tremble as human ships cut through defenses like a blade. Entire planetary networks went offline. Fleets vanished. Command worlds were crippled. Even the chair, watching the destruction, finally realized the truth. Humanity was not just a species. Humanity was a force of nature, unstoppable, unrelenting, unmatched. Deep within a hidden bunker on the Council capital, Ambassador Reed spoke into a secure channel. "They underestimated us for centuries," he said calmly. "They mocked our silence. They assumed weakness. They were wrong. Humanity will not forgive. Humanity will not forget." He paused, watching reports of fleets collapsing across the galaxy. "And now, the galaxy will see the true cost of arrogance. The Council's last weapon had failed. Their fleets were shattered. Their worlds were at risk. And above all, humanity stood united, calm, and more powerful than ever. For the first time, the chair admitted it aloud. We are beaten. By a species we called primitive. By humans. And somewhere in the vastness of space, the human fleet moved as one. Calm, calculated, lethal. The galaxy would never forget this day. Humanity had risen. Humanity had survived. Humanity had won. The galaxy was quiet. Too quiet. For millennia, the Galactic Council had ruled with fear and power. Worlds trembled at their commands. Fleets obeyed without question, and entire civilizations bowed to their judgment. But now, all that remained was silence. A silence that stretched across stars and systems like a warning. Above the capital of the Council, the remnants of the once mighty fleet floated in ruin. Ships that had once commanded entire galaxies drifted, crippled and lifeless. Planets were scarred, cities burned, and communication networks lay in ashes. The chair stared at the display, trembling. The human fleet, led by the Invictus, hovered silently in orbit. Every ship was ready, but none attacked. They did not need to. Humanity had already won. On the bridge of the Invictus, Admiral Carter surveyed the galaxy with calm precision. The Council's fleets were gone. Their cities were vulnerable. Their pride destroyed. But Carter did not celebrate. Victory, she knew, was only the beginning. Commander Hayes, she said, voice steady, prepare for deployment of peacekeepers. Secure all Council territories. Disable any remaining offensive weapons. Do it carefully, we Iconur. We are not barbarians. Hayes nodded, already relaying orders to every ship in the fleet. Humanity's dominance would be swift, precise, and absolute, but tempered with strategy, not chaos. Deep within the shattered Council capital, the chair and his advisors convened one last time. Fear and desperation hung over the chamber like a storm. We cannot fight them, the chair admitted. Our fleets, our weapons, our power, all gone. We underestimated them. The Vereen delegates' scales rippled nervously. They are not just strong. They are perfect. Every move we made, every plan we executed, they predicted it all. Yes, the chair whispered. They are not just a species. They are a force of nature, and we are nothing to them. Ambassador Reed appeared in the Council chamber via secure comm. His image was calm, almost serene. Your arrogance cost you everything, Reed said quietly. You laughed at us. You mocked us. You assumed silence meant weakness. You were wrong. The chair lowered his head, unable to respond. Reed continued. Humanity does not forgive easily. Humanity does not forget. But humanity is fair. You will be allowed to survive, under new rules. You will rebuild. You will respect the balance of power in the galaxy. And if you fail, the consequences will be complete. A silence fell over the chamber. The weight of those words was heavier than any weapon. Across the galaxy, human fleets moved in controlled waves, securing Council worlds. Systems that had resisted for centuries now fell into careful human oversight. Earth's forces did not slaughter indiscriminately. They removed only the capacity to wage war, disabling fleets, disarming weapons, and ensuring no species could rise to mock or dominate again. On each world, humans broadcast a message, simple, clear, and firm. The era of fear is over. The galaxy belongs to those who are strong but just. Humanity protects, but humanity punishes those who threaten peace. Learn from this. Respect it. Survive by choice, not arrogance. Back on Earth, people watched the stars. Children looked up, unaware of the countless battles that had raged beyond the sky. Civilians felt a sense of calm, a new security. Humanity had risen, not just for survival, but as a force for the galaxy itself. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of the Invictus, staring into the void. Her voice was quiet, almost to herself. They laughed at us. They mocked us. But they will never do that again. Commander Hayes joined her, watching the stars flicker in the distance. What now, ma'am? Do we keep going? Carter smiled faintly. No, now we rebuild. Now we show the galaxy what humanity truly is. Not just strength, but intelligence, unity, and purpose. The stars belong to those who dare, and we dared. On the Council worlds, the surviving delegates finally understood the truth. Humanity had not only survived the mockery and the attacks, but had mastered the galaxy in ways they could never hope to match. The chair, broken and humbled, whispered to no one. They were never just primitive, they were inevitable. Ambassador Reed appeared one last time in the communication feed. Calm, confident, and undeniable. Remember this. Humanity is patient, humanity is clever, and humanity does not forget. Treat your people with fairness, treat the galaxy with respect, or next time there will be no warnings. The comm feed ended. Silence fell. But this time it was not fear of the Council. It was the silence of the galaxy acknowledging a new order. Humanity had arrived, unstoppable, unchallenged, and merciless to those who deserved it. In orbit around Earth, the human fleet slowly disengaged, returning to their home planet. The stars were theirs to explore, protect, and conquer, if necessary. The galaxy had learned its first lesson. No mockery could survive humanity. No arrogance could withstand it. No council, no empire, no species could ever underestimate the human race again. And on Earth, for the first time in history, humanity looked up at the stars with quiet pride, because now, the galaxy belonged to them.